Welcome to Queer View Mirror, a show about queer people, by queer people, and for queer people and our allies. I am Don.
And I'm Scott.
And today we're having some festive flair in honor of pride organizations everywhere. What do you think of my outfit, Scott?
I think it's a little understated for you. Don't you have something a little more Carmen Miranda-ish?
Carmen Miranda? Who is that?
She was that Portuguese film star that wore the fruit on her head.
Oh, yes, I love her. But, darling, we're surrounded by enough fruit already. At least we would be during Pride, were it not for this COVID epidemic.
I agree. Last year was challenging for several Pride organizations, but there were some smaller scale events and a lot of stuff moved online. The great thing is Pride organizations are now actively connecting and preparing for this year's virtual celebrations. They're also adapting in other ways to meet our community's needs.
Well, we're very fortunate today as we are going to hear from someone who plays two vital roles for Pride associations. We had a delightful and informative conversation with ALESSANDRO IACHELLI, president of the Nanaimo Pride Society and chair of Fierté Canada Pride. Stay tuned, everyone, for another conversation celebrating our queer community and a performance by Panamore right here on Queer View Mirror.
Welcome back, everyone. And speaking about Pride Day and Pride Month celebrations, it's amazing to know we have celebrated over 50 years of history as a queer community.
What a fabulous achievement! Since the 1969 Stonewall riots, we pursued our rights to equality and sent our message to the world that we take pride in our identity. And who can throw a better party than we can? Pride parades have been a massive event to thousands of spectators around the world.
And isn't it just like our community to take something as horrible as a riot and turn it into something positive and affirming? I remember celebrating Pride Day in Toronto in the 80s and 90s, and I didn't know anybody who didn't want to go out and celebrate that party.
That sounds incredible, Scott. Well, it's going to be very difficult this year because of COVID-19. But we do know that there are things in the works for virtual celebrations, and there are ways that everyone at home can participate and find community within Pride organizations. Let's get started, Scott, and introduce our fabulous guest, ALESSANDRO IACHELLI. Welcome to the segment of Queer View Mirror where we interview very interesting people. So without much ado, I'll turn you over to Scott.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's my pleasure to bring to the camera ALESSANDRO IACHELLI. He's the president of the Nanaimo Pride Society and the chair of Fierté Canada Pride. And he's here to talk to us about some of the developments that are going on. Welcome, ALESSANDRO.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Don. Thank you very much for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what Nanaimo Pride is all about and what Canada Pride is all about? So I guess there's sort of two different things and two different levels, right? So can you tell us something about that? About Canada Pride first.
Okay. So Fierté Canada Pride's the National Association of Pride Organizations. So there's about 70 organizations coast to coast to coast.
Wow.
Of various sizes, small prides in really small communities to the really big ones like Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. And I sit on the board currently on an interim basis. I was elected in February 2020, and we were tasked with restructuring the organization from the ground up, making it a more grassroots organization and raising underrepresented and marginalized communities in the decision making for the organization. So my interim term's up in January of 2021 at the end of the month. And hopefully I'm looking forward to continuing on that. What else? Yeah, it's been really exciting being part of a project to, revitalize an organization, a national organization from the ground up. And, there's a number of people involved in that. And we have councils that represent various sub-communities. So like transgender and people of color and female identified people and Two-Spirit and Indigenous. And we're kind of trying to center those voices in the decision-making for PTA Canada Pride. And the one great development, hopefully, that gets approved is that the organization going forward will also have individual members as opposed to just pride organizations. So that should really do a lot of work in including people that may not be involved with a certain pride organization, and they can just join the organization themselves. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That actually kind of leads into my next question.
Okay.
For people who want to become involved in their, either their local or national pride organization, does that require any training? Like, what's your background and how would one get involved?
I personally strongly urge everyone to get involved, and it can be very simple as getting involved in a event and then going from there to sitting on a committee. Nanaimo Pride has a few committees. PTA Canada Pride has committees. So that might be a way in for getting involved without actually sitting on a board and spending hours and hours a month doing various things. And then if you have specific skill sets and want to really contribute, then you can definitely sit on a board of directors.
So as I understand it, your involvement is in two levels. You have the national level and the Nanaimo level. And I understand Nanaimo Pride recently elected a new board of directors. Is there anything you would like to point out about the new board?
Yeah, so we have a brand new board that was elected a month and a half ago. We have 12 directors. We used to have a limit of 10, but we raised that. Each one has various skill sets, various lived experiences. Everyone's excited to contribute in their own special way. We also established a youth committee, and they've gotten the ball rolling and offering our community youth some programming and event options for the new year. What else? We're also hoping to shift Nanaimo Pride from just being a solely events-based organization and offer more programming and services to various communities. And then finally, the diversity and intersectionality of our board is super exciting. We went from a fully Caucasian cisgender board in 2018 to today where we're, building on bringing better community representation and reflecting the community we serve. So we have people who are transgender, people of color, Indigenous, youth, people with HIV, seniors, and female-identified people on our board, and we've never had that before, so that was super exciting, and that was something that was really important to me personally, so yeah, it's great.
Oh, okay.
I love hearing about that inclusion. That's
Yes, inclusivity on the go.
Yeah, definitely one of our values here at Vimir. Tell me, how has the COVID pandemic affected Pride, the Pride Society over the past several months, and how do you think will affect things going forward? Do you have some contingency plans in place, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it was very difficult for us because, you know, the pandemic hit here in March, and then the restrictions came in place, and that was so close to all our events. And it was so difficult for us to cancel all our events. And then, you know, events that the community all over Vancouver Island has kind of come to love and attend on a regular basis. And then, you know, the pandemic, we had no choice in the matter, and we felt really strongly that it was the responsible thing to do. We could have kind of tried to, you know, try and hold some very small events, but it was just so sudden. And we just thought, you know what, let's take a break and allow us to just kind of work on some of our internal governance structure and things. So that's what we kind of did. We tried to pivot to doing some virtual events. Some were okay and some were not as successful. You know, it was all brand new to us, and I think we didn't have the capacity of, say, a Pride like Vancouver, Montreal, or Toronto that had, you know, all the budget and technological aspects ready to go to actually put on something quite big. So we just took a step back, and it was the right thing. So we think that for 2021, we'll be able to go ahead with Pride Month activities in one way or another, some kind of either fully in person or fully virtual, or a hybrid mix of both. I think it'll also depend on some funding that we're waiting to receive, and if that comes into place, we have a lot of playing room to be able to, you know, hire people and get people involved to do whatever it may need to be, if it is virtual or that sort of thing. It will all depend on the status of the pandemic and the vaccination efforts and what provincial guidelines are going to be in place. We may move actually to doing more smaller events during the month of June for Pride. So instead of doing a week of Pride events, we're going to spread it out throughout the month. And then, of course, there's always the last option, which would be to move Pride Month to later in the year.
Oh, I see. Well, speaking of online events, which you mentioned, which apparently everybody's going to online events. Do you feel online events will be here to stay, or you're hoping it's temporary?
No, I think it's going to stay. I think it's going to be a mix of in-person and virtual online events going forward. You know, I think people are social beings, and that in-person aspect is going to be there forever, and it's super important. We love to get together as a community, so that will always be the main central part of our community going forward. But, you know, with current technologies and the ability to bring interconnectedness to queer communities, individuals that, you know, may feel distant from things, or, you know, are living in smaller communities. We have a lot of small communities on this island, and a lot of, you know, youth and a lot of seniors that don't have the capacity to attend in-person events, be they in Victoria, Nanaimo, or wherever. You just think of communities like Port Hardy or Tofino or Ucluelet, which are kind of isolated in a lot of ways. But, you know, with technology, queer people can attend events anywhere on the island or around the world.
What's your role as president of the Nanaimo Pride Society, and what are some things that you see as important in that role, Alessandro?
Well, I think one of the most important things in my role is to kind of build on the work that has been done in the past 23 years in Nanaimo by previous boards and committees, and to grow Pride and bring that community together. Make sure that, you know, we're united and working for greater inclusion and diversity. That's one of the more important things for me. Other things that are important to me in my role is to make sure our society reflects, you know, the community it serves in terms of its leadership, as well as the events, programming, and services it offers. Lastly, I think, along with the rest of our board, it's important to strengthen Nanaimo Pride's governance structure and financial footing, and that's to make sure there's a Pride Society for future generations to come.
So how do you see Pride evolving now with all, in light of the pandemic, in light of the different social issues that have come up nowadays? How do you see Pride evolving? I mean, we're talking about Pride, Fierté Pride, Canada Pride, or whatever. So how do you see that evolving as well, moving forward?
Yeah, so I think what I've experienced the last year, and in talking with various, you know, stakeholders and different organizations, you know, it's about bringing people in and, you know, bringing those voices that you know, have felt outcast or not a part of Pride. There's a lot of work to still be done in Pride. There's, you know, people of color and people that are Indigenous and transgender that still don't feel Pride's for them. And I think it's important to bring those people in and have them show us what they need from us. And also there's people, you know, like people in recovery. A lot of the Pride events are party focused and have, you know, an alcohol and drug component to it. And so they feel outcast, and, you know, there's a lot of work being done here in BC and across Canada to make those events more inclusive for people who are clean and sober. So yeah, there's a lot of really exciting stuff on that aspect. And I think, you know, there'll be those events that, you know, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Calgary put on the huge events, and they're really great. It gives an opportunity for everybody to go to those cities and visit and so on. And then we have the events like Nanaimo and Victoria and various communities, you know, around BC that are very community focused and very family friendly and very family focused. That's what I've experienced in Nanaimo. I've got families contacting me all the time and saying, you know, how much they loved attending the parade, the festival, and their kids loved it. And, you know, and it opens that door to, you know, our youth that may have struggles with their sexuality or gender identity, and it shows that there is a welcoming place. So, yeah.
So basically, Nanaimo is your local involvement, and then Fierté is your national involvement. Is there such a thing as an international organization for Pride?
There is. So it's called Interpride. So that's the association, global association of all the Pride organizations. And Fierté Canada Pride is a member of that. And then any member of Fierté Canada Pride automatically becomes a member of Interpride. So Nanaimo Pride is a member of both organizations.
I see.
Fantastic.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to the professor here in a moment because I am a late bloomer, I will admit, and I'm still getting, well, for lack of a better word, educated.
Acclimatized.
Because like even in the start of the show, I wasn't really comfortable with the word queer, but my professor here educated me accordingly. So I would like to focus on the word pride. How did the word pride come about to be one of our, well, for lack of a better word again, our brand name
So
for the queer community?
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned about the word queer, because honestly, when I was younger and came out of the closet, like I had problems with the word queer. And, you know, it was a process over many years to really realize, hey, you know what? No, that word belongs to us. And we can reclaim that, and it can be a positive thing. As to pride, you know, for me, it's looking back at our history and the fact that, you know, we were all in the closet. Our forebears fought hard, you know, for us to be here today and have the rights that we have and the visibility and everything like that. So for me, it's about the struggle that was, you know, in place for many, many years. And, you know, lots of people had to hide who they were. Lots of people, you know, committed suicide. Lots of people lived false lives because they had no choice. And, you know, like me as a queer man today, like, yeah, like I take pride in who I am. And I think, you know, it speaks volumes to, you know, where we're at today. And I think everyone in the queer community needs to take pride in the steps we've taken. But there's so much more work to be done. And that's coming. So.
Well, thank you for that. Professor, care to weigh in?
Well, you know, I think Alessandro is absolutely right. You know, I came out, well, if I was ever in, I came out in the early 80s, and when we were all about, you know, back alleys and dark rooms, and, you know, gay bars didn't have signage, you had to know where they were, and people would have to bring you. You know, and if you look ahead, you know, and I think this is the point Alessandro made, we have a long road ahead of us. But if we stop at this point in history and have a look behind us, we've come so far already. You know, the previous generation did it for us. Thank you, baby boomers. And, you know, our generation is doing it now. And, you know, these millennials don't know how good they have it.
Exactly.
But, you know, I remember working for this company in the 90s, and they announced that they would extend benefits to same-sex partners. And that was groundbreaking then. And now it's like in everybody's HR handbook. So, you know, we have come so far, and we should really take a moment to be grateful for that, but also not lose sight of the fact that we have a lot more work to do.
Oh, definitely. A long, twisty, winding road.
Wow, Don, what a great interview with Alessandro. He was really likable, and I'm glad he's in a leadership role for queer organizations. It's a lot of work, and they bring together events, but they're also bringing more diverse voices to the table and new ideas for community building. It was very important to hear our activism is still needed to secure government funding for queer initiatives and improving policies.
I love that we are seeing more and more diversity in our communities, and we are coming together to make positive changes. We can't overstate the important role these organizations play by pushing for government and social policies that reflect and protect everyone who is queer.
I think our network is more important than ever during COVID, and although we're physically isolated, we can still reach out and participate in some way by supporting our local and national queer organizations.
Yes, absolutely, Scott. And we know that virtual events are going to play an important role in the future and will actually help people to connect from all over the world in a new and even more inclusive celebration. I find it very exciting, Scott. With all that's happening in the world, it's wonderful to have major queer events to look forward to. I'm sure Queer View Mirror will be involved in some way, and we will want to tell you all about it. Once again, we close with some inspiration and excitement for the future of our queer communities.
Hooray! And for our special episode, we are wishing everyone finds a way to celebrate Pride Month this coming June.
In fact, you can get involved right now and explore membership with Pride organizations and find out how you can participate. What did you think of our episode today, Scott?
I'm really encouraged to hear our Pride organizations are adapting to the COVID challenges and making LGBTQ equality important throughout the year. And they're genuinely committed to hearing from diverse voices in our community. It means we can all get involved in our own way and make a difference.
You're absolutely right, Scott. I'm looking forward to Pride Day celebrations this year, knowing that virtual events will also help connect people who may have health issues or challenges attending live celebrations. Virtual events are going to be a big part of Pride's success.
Absolutely. Regardless of COVID, I'm sure we'll be finding innovative ways to celebrate Pride Month, have some fun together, connect, and inform our viewers the way we know best at Queerview Mirror. You can contact your local Pride organization or find more information by reaching the email on your screen. Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone, and we'll see you next time on Queerview Mirror.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Queerview Mirror is all about sharing, experience, expression, and empowerment. Queerview Mirror mission is to inspire positive change in the world by showcasing a diverse, inclusive, and innovative global queer community that is authentic and empowering. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to share your story and journey to authenticity, please reach out to us. Send us an email at qvmirror@gmail.com. That's qvmirror@gmail.com.
So you're also involved in an official capacity with Fierté Canada Pride, as you just described. And that's, from what I understand, the National Association of Pride Organizations. Can you tell us more about what that body does? Sorry, let's cut that and do it again.
Yeah, it's fine.
Blah, blah, blah. Take two.
Thank you. Mark it at, I'll catch it. Okay.
Okay. You're also.
Scott, take two.
All right, shut up now.
Take three.
That's going to be the blooper reel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Colton's been waiting for me to tell you to shut up.
He's always waiting. So he can talk because he's the one who doesn't want to shut up. Anyway. No honor among thieves.
That's great.